Hey, dude.
Hey man, what's going on? Oh, my mic's not. Hold on.
Oh, I can hear you fine.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's weird. Good. Good. How's everything?
Here we go.
Dave.
People are strolling in now.
Hi.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little time, it takes a little time.
Yeah.
I guess depending on who we have today, I don't know. I was thinking of going over the basics. If there's not any questions, really, I'll ask the question first. And if there's not any major questions, I was thinking of going over like the basics of what music theory is, and see, how that goes.
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. All right.
I want to show you.
What do you got? Whoa. What is
Nice.
Got it.
That's
Is
gorgeous.
that a Fender?
Huh?
What
Is that a Fender?
Can I see the top of it? Oh no, that's not a Fender.
Anya.
Let me see.
Mahogany old wood.
Very
Enya?
nice.
Enya, like the singer?
I don't know. There's a pickup
A peacock.
with
Gotcha.
battery. I haven't got battery yet.
Oh, that's a beauty.
It's my birthday gift. Huh?
That's
That's a
gorgeous.
beauty.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I like it very much. I like this.
It's a real. Oh, it's so nice.
My children, the gift from my children.
That's a great gift. I just looked it up. It looks like it's mahogany. That's a great sounding wood. It's well balanced moderate tone amongst the widely used.
From Anya.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Enya company
Yeah.
there, and I can see yours is a M6. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And only one thing, if ask what I want more is like a low G.
Low
And this
G.
one, yeah, I try to turn to low G, but
Right.
then the string will be too loose.
Too loose.
You know,
Okay.
I could turn high G to low G, but it's just too loose.
Well, that's why. That's the tension, right, of the string. And
Right.
certain strings are designed for certain tension. It's going to feel a little looser. It's just, it's, the longer strings do tend to feel a little bit looser. But
this is supposed to be high G, I think.
Yeah. It's supposed to be high G. So you tried putting a low G on and it was too loose?
Yeah.
No. She tried to tune the high G into low
Oh,
G.
no, you can't do that. No. You can't do that. No, you have to get a different thickness. Yeah, you've got to get a different thickness of string, right? You need a thicker string. Otherwise, it's going to be that skinny string. If you tune it down, it'll be like flopping around like a fish, it just won't work. So you've got to, you've got to get either a low G string, or like I said, and this is a little bit crazy, but it worked for me. I took the C string, an extra C string from another set, and put that in the place of the G string, and then lowered that down to a G, and it works. It works great for me. Works great.
It works fine.
Yeah.
I did that on one of my, and it worked great for me as well.
Yeah, I don't know they're very close. They're like millimeters apart. A low G and a low C. They're not very different in thickness. So that's pretty cool. But a high G and a low G are very, very different. Very different.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be way too loose. Way too loose, for sure.
High G is fine now.
It's fine now?
High G is fine now, but
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. It's gonna
I'm
work
going
as a
to
high
use
G.
this one as a finger picking ukulele.
Yeah, you gotta get a low G put on it. Either get a low G put on it or use a C string from another set of strings. You could use that too, because if you're in a rush. Or you could just order a set of low G strings online and then have someone put them on for you, you know? I wouldn't recommend doing it yourself because it's a pain in the butt. But yeah, I love having a low G.
But other than that, everything, the quality, I'm happy.
Oh, that's a beautiful ukulele.
The sound is much better. Now
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous instrument.
By the way, it's a tenor.
Tenor size.
There you go. That's the perfect size.
Yeah.
I love the onlays on the neck.
Yeah, yeah, it looks really nice.
Oh, this
No, on the
No,
neck.
on the neck.
On the neck. What are those pedals of something?
Oh yeah, it's I like it. It's it's easy to remember. You know, if I
Right. Where you are up and down the neck. All right. I will give it another minute or two. People. Hi, Ann. Hi, Paula. How you guys doing?
Hi.
Happy
Monday.
Happy Monday. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I guess there's such a thing.
Well,
yeah.
you know, for those of us who are retired, every day is the same anyway.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I have to, a lot of times I have to look at my calendar, my phone and find out what day it is.
Yeah.
The biggest difference after retirement is no weekend.
Right. There's no weekend anymore. Well, every day is a weekend. Every day is the weekend. It's Sunday all the time. All right. So I'll start off this class like I normally start off the Monday class. Again, this is not a play along class. This is our class. So I want to ask if anybody has any specific questions or issues that they would like to go over, because this is the place to do it. Anything you want to ask, I'll do my best to explain in as detailed a way as necessary. So I open the floor to you guys. Let me know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to go over. Can't be nobody, really? Wow. All right. Interesting.
I do have a question.
Oh, okay. What's the question? Yeah.
You know, you really get the praying and singing.
Yeah.
And I think the bottleneck for me is like when to pick up, like a major you play like island, for example, and for a piece, sometimes it's from first beat or second beat or third beat.
Oh, when you start singing?
Yeah.
Oh, so
when we only see chord and the lyric, that's it, right? Lyric.
Well, you're talking about when you're strumming, which strum to start singing on? Is that what you're asking?
Sometimes like you play a chord and then you don't sing from first beat, the first strumming. You sing at the like a second one or third one or
right.
And then
Well, that depends on the song, right? Because I'm not really. Let me pick a song at random and see if I could find something and show you what I mean. Okay, we'll look at the ukulele here. Let me share the screen like this, and we'll share it. Okay, so we'll go into the doesn't matter, into the second edition, and we'll pick. Well, actually, Shake It Up is one, but that's a little bit the opposite. But I'll show you what that what that means. I just saw it. Shake it up. I'll go in the index real quick. H-I-J-K element. Oh, it's called Twist and Shout, right? QRST. 5. Is that really 5? Wow. Okay. 5. Twist and Shout. Okay. So for this, for example, you know, it's C, C, F, F, G7. C, C, F, F, G7, 2, 3, can I, baby, now. So this one has the, I guess this doesn't really help. This one has the chord after you start singing, right? Well, shake it up, baby, now. But in this one, it's clearly there. At the C is in the right spot where you're supposed to be singing, right? So you're talking about when I start singing after I start strumming.
Then you sing.
Yeah, yeah. When I play first and then I sing. Do you have any examples maybe where you got confused of songs that maybe I can look at? Because I'm just guessing right now. I'm trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of one where I start playing before I start singing. Oh, maybe Wild Horses. I think I start singing after. Oh, there we go. 135. So like childhood living, like that. Because I start playing B, childhood living, and then a B again. Is easy to do. The things that you wanted, I brought them for you. You mean like that? Like start singing after I'm playing?
Yeah.
So in this case, it's basically, again, I go back to you have to listen to the song, right? Because the words come in at a certain count, and then in this case, we're counting. I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Child, he comes in on the second one. Like every chord is counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the case of this song, you play the B minor for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Childhood living. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 is easy to do. Now the problem is I can't tell you that that's going to work for every song, right? Because it's different for a lot of different songs. So there's no like one rule that I could say you start singing on the 2 or you start singing on the time you upstroke or whatever, you know. It depends on the song itself, right? So
The songwriter wants.
What's that?
Songwriter.
It depends on the songwriter. Yeah, absolutely. It depends on what the songwriter wants and how they want the song to be structured, how they want it to go. Especially in like they might want to take a pause and like take some time just for a dramatic effect or to make it sound more sad or something, you know. But if you ever have trouble trying to figure out when the singing happens, you've got to really go back and listen to a recording of that song, right? And then try to count along with the song. Every song will have a count that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 behind it, right? Or the song might be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But usually Herb has it at the top of the page, where it says 4/4 right here, that means you count it in 4. And if you ever see 3/4, that means you count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. So go back and listen to the song and then try to count along with it. And that will tell you, at least on what beat you should start singing, right? Which beat you should start singing. So that could be
within the same song would be like the pattern would be the same for each
within
time.
the, oh yeah, probably. Like when he starts singing within the same song, probably. But again, unfortunately, that could change. I can't say every time, you know. There's certain songs that have 2 or 3 parts that are very different from each other. You know, there could be the chorus part where he sings it differently than he sings it for the verse. And I think this one, let's see, wow, this one is the same in every part, but it could be different. And I know that's not a very good answer because it's not really telling you that it's always the same or anything like that. But you have to really, for anybody that's learning a song that they've never heard before, you really have to go back and listen to that song. These chords here, it basically tells you where the chords go within the lyrics, because, you know, you switch to the G right around when he says living, right? When he says the word living. So that's right there. You switch to the B minor before he says is easy to do. So it's basically there, but as for the exact timing, it's not quite, there's nothing in here that tells you exactly when the lyrics will come in, you know?
Was this format never intended to give you that information?
No, it's not in there at all. That's what I'm saying. The information of when to, timing information is not in this format. And also, so like how fast or slow the song is, it doesn't tell you that. And it also doesn't tell you where you're supposed to start singing, you know? But that's not how these sheets kind of work. What these sheets assume is that you've heard the song before, right? So this type of music, they expect you to know the song. And if you don't know the song, it's going to be very hard to play using a sheet like this. You know what I mean? So you have to go back and try to listen to the song and get to know the song. Then that'll make it easier for you to play it. If it's a song you really want to play, you have to take the time to really go and listen to it. And I tell my students that all the time, you know, because they'll be trying to learn a song that their parents told them about, or maybe something like that. And then I find out later they never heard the song before in their life. And you can't learn a song if you've never heard it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the thing. In classical music, or where they write out, you know, every single note where you see the little black dots and all that, that gives you information like the timing and you know, how long you hold notes and everything like that. But that's usually reserved for professional musicians, you know. A professional musician can look at a piece of sheet music and basically play the whole thing, no problem. But we're not at that level. We're a little bit different. We're just playing. Yeah, Herb.
Well, the San Jose format is much, that's offer, give you a little bit of more information. And that's why I try to take it from them if they have the sheet, have the music for that song.
Right.
That one has little dots in there.
Are you saying it's like for like Will You Love Me Tomorrow, for example, Carole King?
Oh,
Right.
Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? What number is that?
The music looks different, right? So that is what's the number? It's 40.
Oh, 40. Okay. So we'll look at page 40. Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow? Yes, that's what Herb is talking about. The ones with the dots like that. So that, you know, tonight, so you see how this has, the chord is the first beat, then this dot is the second beat, this dot is the third beat, and then this dot is the fourth. So in this one, you start singing on the second beat. So it's 1, 1 tonight, you're mine completely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You give your love so sweetly. 1, 2, 3 tonight. Right? So that gives you, yeah. And I think this is the San Jose this is what you were talking about, right, Herb?
Right.
Yeah. So this isn't.
He spent the time to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
This isn't always available, and this takes a lot of work and a lot of time. So I'm not going to expect Herb to do this for every single song, but every now and then he'll find one that's like this, and that'll. Vicky, if you're just joining us, we're talking about whether or how to figure out when you're supposed to start singing in a musical phrase. And what we've basically came up with is that in the standard version of music, let's see if Sweet Caroline is like that. Yeah.
Could you leave that up?
Oh yeah, I could leave that up.
Or go back to it, yeah.
In the standard version of music without these dots like this, it doesn't really tell you when to start singing, right? If you've got a piece of music that's set up like this with the little 1 dot for each beat, then it does, so it's really luck of the draw. But if you don't have a piece of music that has the dots like this, then what you should do is really go back again and listen to the song and try to count along with them and figure out what beat the lead singer starts singing on. And yes, usually in the song, whatever beat that is will repeat itself, right? And it will be that beat for most of the song. Sometimes it's different.
Within the same song.
Right, within the same song, it's usually very similar. The problem with music is you could almost never say always, right? You can't say always because there's always somebody out there that does something different, and you might run into that song, So it's best to know the song before you start trying to sing the song, right? So yeah, that's my explanation for that. I hope that was a little.
I
helpful.
have my last question. Last
Oh.
question.
Yes.
So I know I have to count, but you are so singing so many songs. Do you have to count, and how you count? By strumming or something?
I count in my head. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's in my head. I'm thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And that's hard to do. And it takes time to be able to do that and sing at the same time, right? But let me see if I could explain. Once you really listen to lots and lots of music and you play lots and lots of songs, eventually you don't have to count as much in your head. It's a feeling, right? Like it's a pulse that you sort of feel 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 that goes along with the song. And you'll start to be able to feel that without having to count it audibly in your head or out loud, right? And I know that might sound a little crazy, but it does happen. The more music you play, the more you'll feel how the song is supposed to go, right? So I'm not really going 1, 2, 3, 4 and singing the words at the same time. I can't do 3 things at once. I'm just playing. I know how the song, I'm playing it with this hand. And I'm really just focusing on the words because I practiced playing so much that I could switch between the chords without really thinking about it. And I also can keep a count without really thinking about it. So it's really all about practice. And the more you practice, the easier it'll be to find that count, that 1, 2, 3, 4 count. All right.
I know what helps me is to tap my foot.
Some people tap their foot.
Rather than trying to count in my head, then I can keep my brain free.
Yeah, you can tap your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some people, there's all kinds of different ways. People nod their heads, and some people use a metronome that can count for them,
Oh, that's so stressful.
It is. It is. Because you're trying to keep up with it, right? And you're trying to figure out when it's gonna click. I know, but the more you practice with it, the better you get, and eventually it won't be stressful anymore. And once you get to the point where it's not stressful, then that count is intuition. It's an instinct inside of you, right? And you'll get there if you keep practicing.
All right,
Well,
to follow up on that, if you could scroll up to where we could see the strum. So I'm gonna now, if I get too technical, just let me know and I can hold my question,
no, that's okay. Go ahead.
but this is in 4/4 time. And if I remember what I learned when I took piano, that means that a quarter note is one beat.
Right. Yes.
Okay. And there's 4 beats per measure. Okay.
Right.
Which is the little dots.
The quarter notes.
Now this,
Basically.
They're the
yeah.
quarter notes. So they're
The
1,
quarter notes.
2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
but now the strums are the strums diagrammed in eighth notes?
No, not necessarily.
Because
Let's
there's like
see.
8, there's like a D, a pause, a D.
Yeah.
I mean, is
In
the
this
whole
one, it
thing
is
supposed
eighth
to be-
note.
In this one, it is eighth notes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, but okay, so
That's
in
not
one
always the
case-
case. That's not always the case.
well, I know it's never always.
Right. But I
We
mean,
should
it's
make a
frequently
poster.
not the case. It's frequently not the case. The strums.
Well, in this case, since you're starting to sing on the second beat,
Right.
would that mean you would start singing on the second down?
Yeah, in this
Yes.
case, yes.
Yes.
I think
Because that pause in there is okay.
There's an
All
eighth
right.
note rest in between the first and the second note.
Yeah.
Right? So, and eighth notes, if you want to count, eighth notes are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1
4
and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's an eighth note. 16th note is what, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and 4E, you know.
But we don't think. So I don't know if that complicated things or if that helped, because
No, that's
If you just
okay. That's
kinda-
okay. I don't, but I really,
feel that second strum.
if you understand music, like the counting of music and what an eighth note is, and that's how you think, that could be very helpful. But I don't really want beginners to think that way, because that can get very complicated very quick. Because the
Well,
next,
that's
the
why
next,
if I ever,
no, go ahead.
yeah, if I ever get too complicated, just let me know and
That was weird.
I can email you or something.
Your last few words got like stretched out. That was crazy.
Oh,
I think there's something up with your connection, Paula. It's going.
Well, it could be.
Oh wait, you're there now. Now it sounds a little better.
what are those whole notes?
No, yeah, that would be a whole note. Yeah, exactly.
No, I said if I ever get too complicated, just let me know and I can either Google it or send you an email or something.
Yeah, that's fine. But today's the day to ask those kinds of questions.
Yeah.
If you have a question, even if it's slightly complicated, that's perfectly all right. All right.
For
any
this
other-
song, you basically do that whole string of strum in one measure.
in one
And
measure,
A minor,
right?
you
Yeah.
start again.
Yeah, in this song, it's a one count of 4 is based. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 is down, down, up, down, up, right? So it fits in that one measure. Depending on how you're counting, though, that could be down, down, up, could be 2 measures. You know, it just, again, it depends on the song. It depends on how it's structured, how upbeat the rhythm section is. You know, and you could have different rhythms against other different rhythms, you know, and that can make it even more complicated. But we try to simplify it as much as possible to just, you know, either quarter notes or eighth notes is generally all we play, you know. So, all right. Any other questions for today? Vicky, I knew you were coming. I was just waiting for you to say something. What do you got?
Okay, and this was about going in class. You had mentioned,
The minor third thing, right?
right. So on the piano, it is just so easy for me to see, let's say, for example, C, E, G.
Right,
And then I want to go minor,
right.
and the E, I just, drop down, to the E
To the
flat,
note,
right?
to the note below it, right?
Right. So is there a way on the ukulele that you said, does it work the same way?
As long as you drop the middle note, which is the third. And okay, so I was going to go over basic music theory today, and that'll lead us to the answer to our question. Okay, there are two things that you need to know before we understand what I mean when I say a third, of a root, and a fifth, right? So let's first look at, does everybody have a basic grasp on the musical alphabet, which is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it repeats. And between every single one of those notes is a sharp, except for the letters B and E. So you could think, let it be, right? There's no sharp after B, and there's no sharp after E, which means when you're going, it's A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. So there's no sharp after B or after E. So those are the two to remember, no sharp after those. Okay. Step two is something called intervals. Now this is where we start to get a little bit complicated, but follow me along here. All an interval is the distance between two notes and what it sounds like when you play them together. So when you're playing a scale, this is, you know, there, all right, let's do it this way. It's really hard to show on it. Let's see if there's one that shows it on a keyboard, maybe. This is all musical notation. Ah, here we go. All right, so this is a little bit backwards, but it can illustrate the point. Almost always in music, the example that you use is C. And the reason for that is in a C scale, which we'll get to why this is the case, but we'll start, you know, a C scale has no sharps or flats in the scale. A C scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Real simple. That's a C major scale. No sharps or flats. Okay. Now, so if we start with a C, which is the third string open, the first note you play is a C and a D sharp. Well, let me start with a C way up here, actually, because that would make a little bit more sense. C sharp. Okay. Oh, no. There we go. Okay. So I'm playing a C on the 1, 2, 3, 4th string on the 5th fret. Okay. Now, the next note up from a C in the musical alphabet, if you were to play the 6th fret, is a C sharp. Now on this list, for unfortunate reasons, it listed as a D flat. A C sharp and a D flat are the exact same thing. If you go up one from C sharp, it's a C sharp. If you come down one from D, it's a D flat. So it just depends on which direction you're going. But those notes are identical. So let me see if I could find one on the musical keyboard that uses sharps, because it's so much, I find it so much easier to use sharps. Aha, there we go. Let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit. It's still small. Zoom in, maybe Control plus. Aha. All right. So now you'll see on each one of the black keys, it has both notes that name is actually, that they're actually named. That's called enharmonic. Two different names for a note are exactly the same. So C sharp and D flat are the same note. D sharp and E flat are the same note. F sharp and so on. They're the exact same note. So if I do this, that's a C sharp, and a D flat is this. Same note. All right, got that out of the way. Now, an interval is the distance between two notes. So if we go to the very next note after a C, that's a C sharp. That's called a minor second, that distance. Minor second. Now, if you were to play them together, which I don't expect you to, so don't try, it would be the 5th fret pinky, first finger all the way on the 1st fret, 3rd string. You don't have to do it. It's a 3 fret stretch, but this is what a minor second sounds like. Not very good. But the notes are so close to each other that they clash, right? They're right next to each other. So they sound bizarre. Now, some people use them occasionally for different reasons, for passing through chords and things like that, but whatever. So we're going to run through now the, let me get back to, son of a gun. Give me 1 second, because I also wanted to show the list of, let's see, of musical intervals that you can take a look at too after this. Images. Let's see if this does it. Minor second, major second. All right. This goes this way, which probably makes more sense. Let's go here, here. Oh, it's on the same page. Great. On the same page, only a little lower. We'll get to that in just a moment. Okay. Son of a gun. Much better. Now, the next interval is the distance between C and D. And that is known, that doesn't sound as bad. You probably hear that in chopsticks, right? That's called a major second. Okay? The distance between C and D. Now, the same thing can be applied as you go up the keyboard. So E and F would be a minor second apart, and E and G flat / F sharp would be a major second apart. It all depends on what note you start on. And the note you start on can either be called a root or a tonic. Some people call it a tonic. But the root note, so the note you start on. All right. So we've got minor second, major second, then a minor third, sorry, 5th fret. C sharp, minor second, major second. Now minor third, sounds kind of sad, right? Kind of down a little bit. Now, if you were to move that and that is C and D sharp is a minor third. C to D sharp. It's 1, 2, 3 notes up. C to D sharp. That is a minor third. Now, if you go a major third, we land on E. Now, listen to this. How happy and sweet that sounds, right? Major sound. And in order to get that, I'm playing a C and an E at the same time. And if you look, this is the top part of that bar B-shaped C chord. You know, if you play a B down here, 1st fret, you move it up to the 2nd fret, it's a B sharp. No. Sorry, B flat, B, C. So it would be A sharp, B, C. And those are the top 2 notes of that B. It's a major third of that C, rather. It's a major third. Okay, I should stop comparing them because that's probably confusing. So now the distance between C and E is what they would call a major third, which is 1, 2, 3, the 4th note up, right? If you were to count them, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now next, we go to a perfect fourth. A perfect fourth is a C and an F. And they sound pretty nice together too. The perfect fourth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. Then we have what's called the tritone, a flat 5 or a minor 5. It has all kinds of names, but it sounds awful, and it's this. They actually used to say that the tritone was known as the devil's interval. Now, this has since been debunked, but apparently the story went that when the monks were sitting around deciding music and singing musical harmonies, that they got to that interval, to that sound, and decided that only Satan would play a sound like that and banned it from the Catholic Church's musical lexicon. But recently they've, uncovered music that they're singing tritones, they're singing that flat 5. So that can't possibly be the case, but every music teacher on earth has said it at some point. It's because it's just a cool fact. So I'm going to keep saying it, even though it's a lie. Let kids find out on their own. But that's called a flat 5 or a minor 5 to go along with how we're going so far. And that's a C and an F sharp. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, next we move up the F sharp to a G, and that's a perfect 5th or a major 5th. That's what it's called. And that's between C and G. Now moving on up, the difference between C and G sharp is a minor 6th. Moving up from there is from C to A. That's a major 6th. C to A sharp, minor 7th, or a dominant 7th, or a 7th, just a 7th. So those are 3 different names for it. Then one up from that is a major 7th. And one up from that is an octave, which is the same exact note. C, C, C to C. So we have grand total, the tonic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 intervals, 12 different intervals that make up a what's called the chromatic scale from one note to the next, which is the chromatic scale is just going up one note at a time, black and white keys, right? From C to C. So from C to C, that's what you would label each one of those. Now, building chords comes from, so say, now we're going to get into what is being something that's called in key, right? Now, this is slightly complicated. So I'm going to try to break this down as gently as possible. Every scale has a formula, okay? Now the major, I know everybody's got a look on their face. Now the major scale formula, very easy, just use W's and T's. Whole, or W's and H's, sorry. Whole, half, whole, half. WWH, WWWH. Now, a whole step is 2 little jumps, which you could think of as 2 frets on the ukulele or 2 keys on a keyboard. All right, we use a keyboard just because visually it's a lot easier to represent these things. So to get a C major scale, we go whole 2, right? So the next note is D. Whole 1, 2. So the next note is E. Half, boom, it's an F. Whole G. You see where we're going with this? Whole A. Whole B. And there's no C listed here, but it's a half step to C because there's no B sharp, right? So you go 1/2 step and you land on C, which is the octave. Which a lot of people don't really consider the octave part of this scale because it's really just the beginning of the next scale, right? Going up the octave. So that gives us C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Boom. Now, if we were to want to do the D major scale, right? It's the same formula. So the formula would be whole, E, whole, F sharp, whole, G sharp. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm screwing up. I forgot the half. Whole, D, E, whole, E to F, so F sharp, half, which is G, whole, A, whole, B, whole, C sharp, and then a D. So that's how whole, half, whole, half. So, and it's a whole fret when you do the whole, and it's a half of step, which is the just 1 fret is what's half of. So whole, half, whole, half. Okay, so that gives us our scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Now, I'm going to tell you how to build chords out of the scale. Is anyone completely and utterly lost? All right. Haha. This is the first class. I know, Dave. I know. It might take a couple go-arounds. It might take a couple go-arounds. All right. Now, when we talk about something is in the key of C, right? What that means is we literally only use C, D, E, F, G, A, B for the whole song. That's the only notes that we're allowed to use. If we say allowed is a strong word, but if we want to stick to the key of C, those are the notes that we're going to use. Now, these notes are all the notes that are going to make up each chord. And each chord is a chord in that key. All right. So a chords formula, and again, oh my God, formulas, but a chords formula is the root, whichever note you start on, the third, and the fifth. So let's say we want to build C, the C chord, which ends up being C major, and I'll explain why in a moment. C is the 1. The 3 will be E, because 2 is D. The 3 will be E. F is 4, G is 5. So a G major chord is C, E, G. If we number all these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at first, starting with the C, of course. So it's 1, 3, 5, C, E, G. Now to get the D chord, we make the D now becomes the 1. So it's going to be D, F, A, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So D, F, and A are the 3 notes for the D minor. For the E, it's going to be E, G, B, right? Because E is 1, F is 2, G is 3, A is 4, B is 5. So the 1, 4, 5 for E is going to be E, G, and B. Yes, Vicki.
Okay, so going back to the C just for a second for the sake of simplicity. So let's say there is an instrumental part
Mhm.
and somebody is playing the melody and you wanted to add some flourishes.
Yes.
So the notes that you would use while they're playing the melody would be C, E, and G, right?
No, well, no. You can use any, when you're playing a melody or a flourish, you can use any one of the notes out of
Any of
any
them,
one of the notes will work.
not just that chord. of
Not
C,
just that
G.
chord. Because if you,
Okay.
you know, we've had flourishes that were like, say, a G chord, which a G chord, a G major chord would be G, B, and then we go all the way back here, D, G, B, D, right? Give me D, G, and B. G, B, D. Now, one of the flourishes for that is to move the B up to a C. And then down again, well, that's a G. And a C is not in the B, E, G, or the G, B, D chord, right? G, B, D is what a G major is made out of. But if we put our pinky down for a flourish, that note's a C, right? Yes.
Okay.
So any note in the C, D, E, F, G, A, B will work.
Okay. So I probably used the word flourish improperly.
Okay.
So I was thinking of maybe picking and putting, like sometimes we'll just be strumming along and you'll just be
Picking.
picking out notes. So
If I'm playing only that chord, like again, let's say I'm just playing a C major,
right.
then yeah, all of these notes are going to be C, E, and G. So,
Okay.
but if I do this, by changing that, I've now just played a D and an E, right, on top of it. So, but when you play a major chord, any of these, you'll see that it's made up of those three notes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a major chord, right?
Okay.
But over top of a major chord, you can play any of the notes inside of C, right? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Any of those notes, if you were to sing them, if you were to play them while someone was playing one of the chords in the key of C, it would sound good. That's the whole point of having these parameters, right? So if you play any of the chords that make up the key of C, and you play any of the notes that make up the key of C together, you're going to sound good no matter what. All right. And again, this is a lot of info, but it's to get to that major minor thing. And there is a shortcut to all of this. You might have heard of this, and it's called the circle of fifths. Now the circle, I spelled that totally wrong. Circle of fifths. Now the circle, I think I spelled that wrong. Yeah, there we go. The circle of fifths has tons and tons of information in it. It is not just the information I'm about to give you, but this is a good place to start. So all the notes around the edge here, you could choose any one of them to be your key, right? Let's look at a color one. This one's my favorite. Okay. Okay. Now, as you go around the wheel, the reason it's called the circle of fifths is because each note is 5 notes apart. So if you were to start with C, C is 1, C, D, E, F, G, right? Start with G, G, A, B, C, D, etc., all the way around the wheel. And that even that is going to be helpful at some point in your music theory career. But here's the cheat. Find the C. That's your tonic, right? Then you look around the pie piece, one to the left, one to the right, one down, and then one to the left and one to the right of that. And you will have All the ones in the top row are your major chords. All the ones in the bottom row are your minor chords. So you've got F major, C major, G major, D minor, A minor, E minor. And those are your chords for the C major scale. So let's find the chords for the D major scale. It's going to be G major, D major, A major, E minor, B minor, F sharp minor. All of those make up the C major scale. And it gets deeper and deeper than that. This will actually let you know what sharps or flats are in each one and so on and so forth. But that's just for a start. If you're ever looking for the chords that are in a particular key, the circle of fifths is a good place to start. Although I would hope you try to work it out for yourself eventually, once we get to that point that you can do it. And again, let me go here and let me go here. Oh, did I close it out? Silly me. I did, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. What's going on with me today? I guess we can keep it on here. Whatever. All right. So now, so hard with that. I have a stupid thing on the top of when I'm see that? When I'm broadcasting and sharing my screen, there's this stupid thing on the top of the screen that keeps falling down to like for all the options, you know, so I can't see the top tabs that I have. All right. So now here's where we get to how we figure out if a chord is major or minor. Now every chord is made up of the root, the third, and the fifth of the scale, right? As we said before. So using the scale, C, D, E, F, right? All the way on up. If we make C the root, C is the 1, 2, 3, E is the third, F, G is the 5, right? 1, 3, 5. Now, we talked about intervals earlier. How far away from C is the E? Minor second, major second, minor third, major third. So the C in CEG is a C major because it has a major third in it. Now, let's look at the D. For D, the 1, 3, 5 is D, F, A, makes up the D chord. Now, how far away is the F from the D? Minor second, major second, minor third. It's a minor third away from the 1, which is the D. So because it's a minor third away, it's a minor chord. Does that make sense to everybody? Not really. Yeah, this is where it starts to get a little confusing. So we were talking about intervals before, which is the distance between all the notes, right? Intervals have different sounds. So a minor third sounds like this. Sounds kind of sad and dark. A major third has this in it. Now, when you play C and E together, let me find 2. C and E, that's a major interval, right? Now, if we were to lower that E to an E flat, where is an E flat? Ah, here it is. So if we were to lower that E here down to an E flat or a D sharp, same note, right? And then play them together. Hear that? Now that E is a little too high, so. Yeah, That's not really a good example. So that's not helping. Sometimes I choose the wrong examples, but they have a different sound altogether. Once the minor third sounds a little bit dark and a little bit down, and the major third sounds happy and bright, right? There's only 3 notes in every chord that make up every single chord. You're going to be playing the 1, the 3, and the 5 of every chord, right? In the beginning. Now, the third is the most important note for what they call the color of the chord or the gender of the chord, either being major or minor, either sounding bright or sounding dark. Now, if we remember our intervals, the distance between notes, the distance 1 note is a minor second, right? So when you go from C to C sharp, that's a minor second. When you go from C to D, it's a major second because the list goes minor second, major second. Then when you go 1 up from that, it's a minor third. So the C to the D sharp is a minor third away. And then when you go up to the E, it's a major third. So C, E, G is a major chord because the third is the interval, the distance from C to E is a major third away. So if you flatten the major third, go down 1, you always get the minor third, which is why if you take that 1 note in G, let's say we play a G chord. A G chord is G, B, D, right? That's your G major chord. So if you look at all the notes, that's a G as we're playing a G chord. G, D, G, B. Now the B is the third, right? Because G is the 1, B is the 3, and imagine there was an C here, we would skip to the D, right? So G, B, D are the 3 chords. The B is the third. So that makes it a major chord with a B. Now, if we were to take that B and drop it down 1 note, just 1 note, now it's a B flat or an A sharp. The distance between G and A sharp is a minor third. And now if you play that chord, it's a G minor now. Just by moving that B down 1. G, then G minor. This is a B, which is the third of the G. Move it down 1. Now it's a minor third. And we're only talking about the distances between the notes, how long it takes to get from the G to the B. And 1 step up is a minor third, 2 is a minor second, 2 steps up is a major second, 1 step up is a minor third, 1 step up is a major third. And the intervals are listed here. Oh my God. Oh, I can move this thing. Fantastic. Let's move it down here. How about up here? Can I do that? I can. Even better. All right. So this here, on this same page, you'll see this is actually a good startup guide to music theory. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to post it in the chat, which is, where is it? Can I not do it when I'm sharing? And, here it is, chat. Type it to everyone. This link right here in the chat window there for you is a big help. And this will list the intervals. It'll explain what intervals are. And it even starts to cover how to build the chords, what intervals sound like, all that stuff. Because as I guessed, we are out of time right now. Now, I don't want you guys to get frustrated with this. There's a few little tumblers that need to fall into their hole. You know what I mean? There's just a few little to get that lock to turn and to open up that door. There's not a lot that you need to grasp, but the things you do need to grasp are confusing. because what we tend to do is overcomplicate things. And right now you're all going, but if a G is a G sharp and an F, how does that? And that, I get that. It's actually way simpler than you're making it in your head. I can promise you. And I could see a bunch of frustrated faces. I feel bad, but trust me, it's worth looking into. It's worth learning, and it's worth starting to understand the basics of it. You play an instrument. This is the basis of music, you know, as we know it in the West, you know, Western music.
Do you have time for a quick question?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
Could you bring back up that chart, that keyboard?
Sure.
So the C major chord is C, E, and G. If I wanted to create a D major chord, wouldn't that have to be D, F sharp? Wouldn't there have to be a sharp or something? Just because you have to have the same number of steps in between.
Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying, but
Oh, thank you.
we're only using the notes of the C major scale when we're building chords. There are no sharps in the C major scale.
Oh, right.
So if we're doing a D, it would be D to F, G, A.
Well,
So
will
the one
I ever see a chord like that?
with sharps and flats in it?
No. I did. Never mind. I got it.
That's a D major scale. The DFA is a D major scale.
No,
Sorry,
I mean, would
D
I
major,
ever see a
D minor chord. It's a D minor chord. Sorry about that. D, F, and A is a D.
So if I'm creating D, F, A within the C chord, within the C
major scale.
Thank you. What is that called? D major or
D
just
minor.
the D chord?
It's called the D minor. That's a D minor. D, F, and A is a D minor. And there's actually some rules with a major scale. The chords go major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, which we don't usually play diminished chords, so don't worry about that.
You're not going to test. I hope you don't have a test. I hope you don't test us on this.
No, I'm not going to test you, but in any major scale, the first chord is going to be a major. So it's C major, D minor.
Okay.
And we can look at the circle of fifths here. C major, D minor,
Okay.
E minor, F major, G major, A minor. And then there's this outlier here. That's a B.
Okay.
But that's a B diminished, which we practice
together
and play. So that's that. But that's the rule. Like that's the rule for any major scale. But that doesn't mean that doesn't explain how they're built, right? And how they're built is the 1, 3, and 5
right.
of the C major scale only, right? So if we got into a scale that had sharps and flats in it, we would use those sharps and flats to build those chords, right? Because they exist inside the scale. So that's that.
But since we have music provided, the music provided for us, we don't have to worry about creating chords.
No, this is not applicable to our day-to-day playing. This is an advanced course. So the idea is to get a little bit deeper into what music is and how music, because there's rules behind music. You know, there's reasons
why. I was just kidding.
Oh, okay. There's reasons why certain things sound good and certain things don't sound good. And ultimately that could help you when you're playing music yourself, because you'll know what notes you can go to that'll still sound good inside of a song, you know? So that's that. All my preaching for the day. So if we have to go to hi Celeste. I guess she's not listening. So if we have to, we can move on to other topics next week if you guys really hated this, or we can continue a little bit and do a refresher class. It's up to you. But class is over. We're 10 minutes past. Have a great day, everybody. Evening
Thank
now.
you. Thank you,
Thank
Fred.
you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See you guys later.
Okay. Bye.